All right, let's just get this over with so I can never have to talk about these movies ever again. As you can tell by my title, we are doing my top 10 worst of 2024, and all of these movies, including my honorable mentions, are movies that have caused me nothing but pain, misery, agony, and unnecessary anxiety to keep me up at night thinking about how could somebody make a movie so bad as most of these. But regardless, we're just going to talk about these and just get it out of the way. So again, I never have to talk about them again in my life. I never want to think about like a majority of these movies ever again. So let's just get it over with, ladies and gentlemen. This is my top 10 of the worst list of 2024. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and this is this is not a review. This is my top 10 worst movies of 2024 list, and like I said, we're going to start with some honorable mentions. And personally, all my honorable mentions list is basically a list or a compilation of movies that probably are just lucky they didn't make my top 10. These movies really, all of them, it's so crazy. Just before I even get into my honorable mentions list, this year has been insane because there have been at least 3 times that I've told myself, okay, this is the worst movie of the year, and then something worse came out. Like, I truly didn't think there were 3 movies that came out this year. I'll let you know what they were. There were 3 movies that came out this year that I completely said to myself, okay, it's not going to get any worse than this, and yet somehow it did. So 2024, while being a really, really good year for movies, also was a surprisingly just weird one with how many bad ones came out. But here we are regardless. So let's get into it. So for my first honorable mention, guys, I'm going to talk about Immaculate. Look, the only reason that this movie is on here is not because of some Sydney Sweeney hate agenda I'm trying to drive. I have no issues with Sydney Sweeney whatsoever. Actually, for what it's worth, I actually thought she gave a pretty decent performance in the movie. However, my biggest issue with it is it's so boring. It is so boring. It is so uninteresting. It is so full of nothing. There's nothing interesting about this movie until the very final frame where Sydney Sweeney is screaming. And she does a very good scream. But I promise you there's nothing else enjoyable in this movie whatsoever. And the thing that really cemented it being on my list this year, just for the honorable mentions, was the fact that not even a month, but 2 weeks later, the very same movie came out by the title of The First Omen with Nell Tiger Free, and it completely showed Immaculate how they were actually supposed to make the movie that they were trying to make. The First Omen literally outdoes Immaculate in every single humanly fashionable way. And it really just made me go, I don't even understand what the point of releasing Immaculate was. But like I said, I don't have to talk about this movie again now that it's over, but it's just very boring, very dull. And a movie literally 2 weeks later showed it how it's supposed to be done, and that's just really embarrassing for you. Now, my second honorable mention is The Front Room. And personally, I wasn't going to put this movie on my list. However, it's just, I really need people to witness. I really want, like, you know those times where you go through something so you don't tell somebody else about it because you want them to go through it too. You just see what happens because you went through it, so somebody else got to do it. I'm going to be petty in this sense because I know when people talk about how bad movies are, that makes people want to watch them. The Front Room is ass. The Front Room is ass, but it's very funny. It is a very funny movie that I think is best if you watch with a group of friends and get as drunk or high as humanly possible because you'll die. You'll die of laughter. I just need people to witness how many times this old lady farted, shitted on herself, pissed on herself, and really just made me watch a lot of things that I personally could have gone without. But I need other people to witness it. So The Front Room is on here. Okay, so for my next honorable mention, I got Borderlands. And I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on Borderlands because I don't remember much about this movie. However, the things that I do remember is, one, Cate Blanchett was the only one trying. Everybody else let her down. And not much else. Not much else. This movie is really bad, but was it as bad as like everybody was saying? Not necessarily, because like I said, surprisingly, there is worse out there. But let's just move on because I'm pretty sure nobody even wants to remember this movie, nor be reminded that it exists. So let's just move on. And for my next honorable mention, I have Joker Folly a Don't. No, you heard that correctly. It's not Folly a Do, it's Folly a Don't, as in do not watch this movie. I don't care how tempted you are. I don't care how badly you want to actually see how bad this movie is. Please don't watch it, because you will only be upset at yourself at the end. Because for those who have seen this movie, y'all know this thing is complete and utter garbage, especially coming off that first movie that many deem a very good comic book movie. Or, yeah, that's a comic book movie because Joker's a comic book character. Todd Phillips wasn't cooking in this one. Todd Phillips wasn't cooking. Joaquin Phoenix wasn't cooking. Lady Gaga wasn't cooking. It's just a waste. It's just a complete waste of time. And whoever was in charge of the musical numbers in this movie, please learn how to write catchier songs, because I've never seen a musical just make people completely upset. At least there are some songs in musicals where people can go, okay, I like that one. There's not a single song in here anybody will remember, and honestly, you just made a lot of people upset and pissed off. So let's just never try anything like this again, okay? All right, and next up for my honorable mention, I got The Crow. Y'all know, look, there's literally only one good part of this movie, and it's the church fight scene. I believe it took place in the church. No, it was the opera house. It wasn't a church. The opera house fight scene, that is the only good part of this movie, and it happens at the end. Other than that, before that part comes, you're really, really bored out of your mind, and even after that, you're still bored out of your mind. Now, I will say this. The love story between FKA Twigs and Bill Skarsgård, I actually didn't mind. Personally, I thought that was Taylor Russell up until I did the research for this movie. I literally just found out that was not Taylor Russell. Okay, but yeah, thanks for tricking me with that one. Or I feel tricked with that one. But regardless, nobody wants to remember this movie. The opera house scene is worth remembering, though. The rest of it, not at all. And for my last honorable mention, I have The Killer's Game. I'm pretty sure a majority of you don't even know this movie exists. You don't need to. But if you ever think about turning this movie on, please, I'm begging you, come back to this, watch me literally warn you to never turn this movie on. Because it's really bad. And I really hope Batista never is involved in anything like this again, because you're way too talented, sir. You are way too talented. All right, so now on to my top 10 list. At number 10, I got Megalopolis. And personally, I wish this movie could be higher. I honestly, for all of these movies, I essentially wish they could be higher. But we're going to start with Megalopolis. And for those who have been defending this movie, if you enjoyed it, awesome. I'm not here to bash your opinion whatsoever. I'm not here to bash on movies that you enjoy, you love, you think that could possibly catch on to be a cult classic later on in life. I'm not here to hate on any of that. However, I'm here to express my opinion. This movie sucks. This movie sucks. I think Adam Driver actually does a good job for doing what he was told, and I think Francis Ford Coppola told him to do a lot of bullshit. But he did it, and he did it in the best Adam Driver way possible. So for that, I can tip my hat to him. But the rest of this movie is nonsensical bullshit. And y'all, please stop. If you did enjoy this movie, stop trying to convince others that they missed out on some majestical masterpiece or we just didn't understand it. It's not that hard to really understand. It's not that complicated of a movie. It wants to be that complicated of a movie, which is why it really pisses me off. But it ain't that complicated. It's just not good. And that's okay. All right, so at number 9, I got Night Swim. And I will agree with you, or a lot of you, if you have an issue with this being at 9, if you think this movie should be higher on the list, because this movie is really bad. Do not get me wrong, it is really bad. But here's the thing. Nothing about the trailer told me this movie was going to be good. Who's afraid of a pool? Who's afraid of a pool demon? And the story that they even came up with behind the reason that the pool is haunted was stupid anyway. Like, that premise was dumb. Why? No, that didn't scare me. I didn't think that was going to be a good movie anyway, so that's why it's right here. It's a really bad movie, but I mean, you should have expected that. There's no way you saw the trailer for this movie, and honestly, no, the Carrie Coon deserves better, but honestly, Wyatt Russell really got to turn it around, because, dude, come on. Okay, so at number 8, I have Lift. This movie actually made me very angry, and granted, I don't necessarily ever really hold movies that come out on streaming to like crazy standards as far as like putting them on the best or worst of 20 whatever list, because normally streaming movies, unless the trailer presents to me something different, or streaming movies are just supposed to be like mindless little entertaining fun. Like they're not always supposed to be taken so seriously and be like so criticized so deeply and so heavily, because they're not necessarily like big film, big cinema. But Lift really pissed me off because Kevin Hart is better than this, and he literally proved it by participating in Fight Night. That show was amazing, and he showed me that he can act. So I'm not necessarily sure what this bullshit was, but let me explain something to you. If I ever gotta watch anything like this again, honestly, I should probably know better. I should have probably known better that this movie was, I mean, the trailer didn't look as bad. The trailer didn't even look remotely as bad as what the movie actually was. But I promise you, if I ever have to sit through anything like this again, I truly might be done with Kevin Hart. And granted, Fight Night brought me back in. But after this movie here, I was truly done. I didn't even want to watch Fight Night. I was like, anything regarding Kevin Hart, and it hurts my heart to say that, I did not want to be involved with, because Lift was atrocious. Luckily, he did Fight Night. But I promise you, bro, please stop doing projects like this, because you're better than that too. You are 1,000% better than this. Please stop. At number 7, I have Afraid, and I do have to start this segment of my video by apologizing to this movie, because when it first came out, I deemed it the worst movie of the year. I truly didn't think it was going to get worse than Afraid. And one of these movies technically actually 2 of these movies came out before Afraid, and once I actually had the time to think about it, they are worse. But when this movie came out, I truly thought it was going to be the worst movie of the year by far. Didn't think it could get worse than this. Definitely did. But it's still not good. It is still a horrible movie. And the ending, and there are people that essentially, in my TikTok comments at least, they tried to point out the fact that this movie is trying to teach a lesson about AI and things like that, and we were missing it. No. Nobody missed it. We got it. We grasped what they were trying to say. Problem is, they wasn't saying it very effectively. We were too distracted by all the other nonsensical bullshit going on, and just the very cringy bad acting going on from John Cho. Lukita Maxwell deserves better, because she's in Shrinking. She's amazing in that. She deserves better. Catherine Waterston damn sure deserves better. There was a moment in the movie I'm like, oh, she's the only person that really was told that she needs to act. Nobody else was told they need to act in this movie. This movie's really bad. This movie is horrible, but I do have to apologize, because you're not as bad as the rest of these. So I guess you have that going for you. At number 6, I have Tarot, and this was one of the movies that came out before Afraid. And like I said, after I truly had a minute to sit down and think about it, yeah, this movie is definitely worse than Afraid. Granted, a lot of you probably forgot this movie even came out, because you really wanted to do the same as I did and wipe this movie clean from your memory. I promise you, this is the last time we ever have to talk about it. And as far as my channel goes, I'm never going to put you guys through this again. But yeah, Tarot was really bad. There's no point in me sitting here going on a rant about how bad it was. Just bad. Like, this movie's really, it's forgettable. It makes you angry because the acting is just really Tubi-like. This movie really didn't need a theater release. You really could have just put this on streaming and we would have been fine. But you did it to yourselves. You do it to yourselves by putting it on streaming. So, I'm not in streaming, by putting it in theaters. So, here we are. At number 5, I got Madam Web, and I have to apologize to this movie, because when this came out earlier in the year, in February, I think, I truly thought that it would not get worse than this. And the thing about it is, the Madam Web trailers never looked any good. The promotion and the marketing for Madam Web was very unnecessarily sexual for whatever reason, and I just didn't have any hope for this movie whatsoever. But I do have to apologize, because not only did Sony release a movie that was worse, but they released your movie and then put this next movie through 6 months of reshoots and still managed to make something a lot worse than what preceded it, which was Madam Web. And I'll talk about number 4 in a second, but I'm not mad at this movie, because I'm really not mad at how bad this movie was, just because it never had a chance. This next one I'm going to talk about actually had promise. But I mean, let's be real. Madam Web never stood a chance. And the Sony CEO has completely lost his mind, thinking that they make good movies. I don't know who told you that, buddy. I don't know who you have in those executive chairs letting you think that you're actually making good movies and people are just hating on it because it's fun. No, it's not fun. I really wish we could actually have a Sony movie that is fun and we could actually enjoy. We don't have that. Well, I mean, Across the Spider-Verse, but that doesn't. I don't. Those are. You don't even deserve to be in the same sentence as. Yeah, Across the Spider-Verse doesn't even deserve to be in the same sentence as these trash movies. But let's get on to number 4, because that one actually makes me a lot more angrier. At number 4, I have Craven the Hunter, and like I said, the main reason why Madam Web is not above Craven the Hunter is because Madam Web never stood a chance. Craven the Hunter, however, went through 6 months of reshoots. The trailers that they released were actually good, in my opinion, and Aaron Taylor Johnson as Craven the Hunter gave a very good performance. Problem is, Sony let him down because the dialogue given to everybody in the movie was atrocious. Having Fred Harkener, however you say his name, playing the chameleon and singing Sign of the Times by Harry Styles was abysmal. Ariana DeBose, y'all have truly turned into an absolute laughingstock. And somehow, some way, I felt as if like you were trying to make a movie worse than Madam Web. I felt like this movie had so much promise, so much potential for you to actually make me think you were trying to be worse than Madam Web is a ridiculously crazy feat, but here we are. And no, this movie is just really bad. And again, like I said, you really got to be trying. That's why I'm really mad at Craven the Hunter, because you really got to be trying to make a villain worse than the spider guy that was in Madam Web. The Rhino was horrible. And I'm going to do his thing one more time just so we can get it out of the way. But if you know, you know. Like y'all, like somebody saw that and said, yeah, I love it. We put that in the movie. Come on, bro. Come on. Consider a career change, because whoever greenlit that decision, no. And at number 3, I got Elevation. Now look, this one is completely on me, because I am pretty sure that as soon as I said what the title of this movie was, a lot of y'all went, what? What is that? Anthony Mackie had a movie released this year? Anthony Mackie was in a movie this year? I thought he was only going to be in Captain America. Yeah, no, Anthony Mackie and Marina Baccarin had another movie this year. It came out, I think, last month. I literally watched it out of like boredom and the fact that I just wanted to go watch a movie. This one's on me, guys. I knew this was going to be bad. I had never heard of the movie until the week of its release. Never heard of it. And see no trailers, no promotions, no nothing for it. I was like, all right, I'm going to go check this out. And it was god awful. It was. It really was bad. It possibly could have been my worst movie of the year, but the thing about it is, like I said, I just have to take this one on the chin. This one's my fault. I should have known that this was going to be a waste of time. That's literally what it is. Personally, what this movie actually feels like to me is whoever works at the the movie corporations, and once they have to send off the movies to the theaters for them to be put on the big screen, I feel like whoever's job that is, they put the wrong movie in the packaging. I felt like this movie was never actually supposed to be seen by the public, at least not in movie theaters, at least. I feel like at some point in time, maybe they were going to put this on streaming, but somebody at work fucked up, and now everybody, I don't know, I'm not going to say a lot of people have seen this, but people have seen this, and we were very upset. But I think not too upset, because we can only blame ourselves, because oh my God, yeah, wow, this is horrible. At number 2, I got The Strangers Chapter 1. This was another movie that when it came out, I thought was going to be the worst of the year easily. I did not think it could actually get worse than this, but it did, but I'll talk about that movie in a second. However, I am a big fan of the original Strangers movie with Liv Tyler and whoever played her husband in that movie. I'm not a fan of Strangers Pray at Night. And I'm damn sure I was a fan of the concept that they were trying to go with this trilogy, explaining the origin of the strangers. But for this movie to truly add nothing to the lore, do nothing for the strangers, just honestly do nothing for whatever story you're trying to build here. This movie was a whole bunch of nothing. just a whole bunch of nothing for an hour and 40 minutes. And personally, I feel like if these next two honestly, I don't even think these next two movies should be made, but I know they've already been greenlit, so we have no choice but to witness them. These next two movies better at least have some sort of something happen where I know I can get more information about the strangers, because I feel like in Strangers Prey at Night and in this movie here, I was supposed to learn something else about these guys, but you don't. And personally, like, that is kind of what goes into their whole bit. Like, they're just literally strangers. They're people you don't know with masks on that literally just terrorize you because they can, because you were home. Oh, that was the other thing I hated about this movie. How do you change one of the coldest lines in horror history when Liv Tyler literally says, "Why are you doing this to us?" And she says, "Because you were home." Like, literally, you were here, like, you were home. Like, we would have probably went to that person's house down the street, but you guys were here, so we said, fuck it, we're gonna fuck with you guys. That's cold. Yeah, I think the way they put it in the Stranger chapter 1 was like, because you were here, or something dumb. They changed it. They changed the line, and it was very bad. It was such a disappointment, because it's like, do y'all even know what you're trying to build? Do you know what kind of story you're trying to tell? And honestly, no disrespect to Madeline Klein. I think that's her name. Hold on, let me see. The Strangers Chapter 1. I think her name is Madeline. Her name is not Madeline Klein. Oh, no, it's Madeline Pecht. It is rough for her as a leading lady. And if she is a leading lady for the rest of this trilogy, God bless us all. And at number 1, a movie that truly pissed me off to an extreme degree. And granted, y'all probably like, man, movies ain't that serious. You shouldn't be getting that mad over no movie, blah, 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 blah. Let me explain something to you. If anybody else saw RedOne, they should understand how angry I am. They should understand why. They should then understand completely why I'm angry. They should understand completely why. Hope I'm about to go on a crazy ass rant, because this movie was fucking terrible. This was easily the worst movie I've seen all year. And like I said, I've seen a lot of garbage. And for this movie to truly be the worst one I saw all year hurts me, because I am a big Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fan. I am a big Chris Evans fan. I am a big J.K. Simmons fan. And I'm a big fan of Lucy Liu. And I am a huge fan of Kiernan Shipka as well. I'm a huge fan of a lot of people that's a part of this movie. Even Nick Kroll, who is a complete buffoon in this whole thing. This movie truly astounds me, because anytime I think of RedOne, the first thing I think about is the fact that it has a $250 million budget. I'm trying to figure out where that movie went, or where that money went. I'm going to imagine that maybe 40% of it probably went to J.K. Simmons to have him do this movie in the first place. Maybe a good portion of it probably went to The Rock. Why? I don't know. Y'all didn't have to pay him that much. I'm pretty sure he would have did this regardless. Chris Evans, I don't really know what the story is with Chris Evans anymore, because at this point, I really have to talk about Chris Evans, because he is going on a streak that is really, really just tarnishing his charm and charisma. And look, man, I ain't gonna fault you. If all you can do is Captain America, then let's just do that. Because Ghosted, Pain Hustlers, and now RedOne, bro. Now, some people like to add the Gray Man to that. I actually like the Gray Man, and I like Chris Evans in the Gray Man. I actually really liked his character in the Gray Man. I actually don't have a problem with that movie. But the last 3 movies that I've seen of Chris Evans's, I have a huge issue with, because you are better than this. This is beneath you. This is beneath everybody in this movie, to be honest. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, you deserve better too. Now, granted, this is a movie that literally just screams typical Hollywood blockbuster. I'm not going to say Hollywood blockbuster, because no. And when I say typical Hollywood blockbuster, I just mean a bunch of execs in a room throwing cash at a movie that's just going to have big stars, be a Christmas themed movie, and they just going to let them do whatever the fuck. That's the typical Hollywood blockbuster nowadays. And it's sad to say that that's what it's come to. But this is everything. This movie is an example of everything that's wrong with Hollywood nowadays. This is an example of people just not listening to what people want, people not knowing how to really put together a good movie, people not knowing what makes movies entertaining. This is an example of all that, because it's all bad. This movie is atrocious, man. I mean, I felt so bad for Kiernan Shipka because she is way more talented than this movie portrays her to be. Beyond that, J.K. Simmons, he's not even in the movie too long. And there's only one part of this movie that I enjoy, and it's the beginning when J.K. Simmons is kind of I don't know what the word is, but he's basically acting like he's the mall Santa when he's the real Santa. I actually thought that was like the coolest thing they did throughout the entirety of the movie. Other than that, the action sequences are bland, the story is stupid, the dialogue is trash. It's just very disrespectful for these actors to have been doing something like this. Like, they're all better than this. Everybody in this movie. Now, Nick Kroll, he's good, but he was a complete buffoon in this movie. RedOne is just, for me, one of the biggest pieces of crap I've seen all year. It was truly a movie that made me upset. And the reason it really made me upset is because it's the only movie I've ever seen that has a lack of Christmas spirit. How do you have a movie with Santa Claus in it and there's no Christmas spirit whatsoever? This movie doesn't feel like Christmas. It feels like hell. It feels like I'm being put through hell. It feels like I'm being tortured, and I got them one of the machines that keep your eyelids open to make you watch, and I'm just sitting there screaming like, turn it off, but they won't turn it off. They just keep making me watch it. That's what RedOne felt like. And that's the end of my list, guys. So look, thank you guys so very much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what your worst movies of 2024 were. Which of mine did you agree with? Which of mine didn't you agree with? Let's just get a conversation going and be nice. Do not be jackasses about it, okay? I know we're not going to all share the same opinion. It's subjective. Now, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more. Like, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.